An insurance rep lets himself be talked into a murder insurance fraud scheme, which arouses an insurance investigator's suspicion in the 1944 film noir classic Double Indemnity.
I killed Dietrichson. Me, Walter Neff, insurance agent, 35 years old, unmarried, no visible scars. Until a while ago, that is. Yeah, I killed him. I killed him for money and for a woman. It all began last May. I was thinking about that dame upstairs and the way she had looked at me. And I wanted to see her again, close.
Double Indemnity stars Fred MacMurray, Barbara Stanwyck, and Edward G. Robinson. And the ironic thing is, this is probably the greatest movie that any of them ever did, although pretty much none of them wanted to do the film at first. Fred MacMurray had to be kind of coaxed into it because the kind of film noir genre was not his screen image. He had mostly done romantic comedies at the time, but he was convinced to do otherwise because those romantic comedies weren't exactly making him a superstar. Barbara Stanwyck had a few reasons for being a little bit iffy. They wanted to put her in a blonde wig, which they ended up doing. And if you look, it's really it doesn't look real. It's not flattering, but it really sticks true to her character, Phyllis Dietrichson. And it makes her look so much more like a cheap woman, which is how Stanwyck described it. You know, you're making me look like a cheap woman. And Billy Wilder said, like, well, you are. So you got to be, you being Phyllis Dietrichson, not Barbara Stanwyck. That would be me. That eventually got her roped into it, and I think she's better for it. And Edward G. Robinson did not object to the role that he was given, but he objected to the kind of role that it was. And what I mean by that is, when Edward G. became a star in 1930's Little Caesar, he had received nothing but top billing until 1944's Double Indemnity. So he was kind of looking at it that it would degrade him as a star. But he decided to do some soul searching, and he would rather fall into supporting roles in good movies rather than be in leading roles in B pictures. Now, to go more in depth about the kind of movie that we're talking about, Double Indemnity was, in a sense, a movie about adulterers committing murder and insurance fraud to get rich. So these characters were criminals, and if you knew the Hollywood censor code at the time, there was a bunch of codes that you could not do in movies. One of them in particular, if the main characters are criminals, they have to get caught in the end, or they cannot succeed. Another thing was, you know, there was so many rules with sex. For example, like 2 actors couldn't hold a kiss for more than 3 seconds. There was like a rule that if they were laying down, one of the actors' feet had to be on the ground or something like that. I don't even know what that does, but that was like a rule that they had just to give you a kind of example of what it what it meant to do intense themes back in Hollywood. So the censors really made it tough for them to put this movie on its feet. However, and this is a tribute, I think, to Billy Wilder, in that he was such a great writer, and I'll go on record to say that he was one of the best ever. He has such a longevity, and if you're watching a Billy Wilder movie, you know that you're going to get good dialogue. He was definitely a master of good dialogue, and part of that greatness is being able to take sex and make it a suggestion rather than showing it. And what I mean by that is, you know, with double entendres, nuances, innuendos, as opposed to just calling it what it was, which is what most movies with sexual themes had to do at that time. And if anything, I'm kind of, you might even thank the censors a little bit because it made it smarter. And this is an incredibly smart movie. The writing, and again, like the dialogue, apart from being clever in that it didn't go over the top, it was clever in that it was just very quotable movie, memorable dialogue, great exchanges between characters, particularly for Barbara Stanwyck's character, Phyllis Dietrichson, who is credited as one of the great screen villains of all time. And I think she would be, that character is known as the femme fatale. That, you know, like kind of like where if you're playing a femme fatale, that's the first place you should look, is that character. Edward G. Robinson was talked about very highly in the movie. The people who worked with him were saying just how in some of his monologues he didn't screw up. He just knew his lines, and he was a total pro, and he really shot him out perfectly, gave perfect readings. over and over again, and it really was the part that was made for him. And although Little Caesar would probably be his that is his claim to fame, I would say that this role is better in my opinion, or probably maybe his greatest performance I've ever seen. Now I'm going to make a bold claim here. And I'm not saying that it is the greatest movie that is a film noir, but I'm saying that it is the greatest movie of the film noir genre. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense. You know, you talk about certain movies like The Third Man or The Maltese Falcon. I don't know if, you know, like which movies are better. I generally don't try to rank them like that. But as far as the genre goes, I think Double Indemnity is the greatest film noir movie of all time. And I think it is the movie that really made the film noir genre a genre. So if you don't think that that's true, let me know. That's pretty much it.